We will start, we have a brief special meeting scheduled, so we will start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The reason for the special meeting is that we need to appoint Michael DeSanctis as building inspector. He was provisionally appointed and then passed the civil service exam. And we were going to appoint him on Monday, but then found out from civil service that his provision expires today. And so if we didn't appoint him today, we'd have to fire him today and then rehire him on Tuesday after we appointed him Monday. So
that's very annoying.
It's much easier paperwork-wise to
It
just
seems so
do it.
efficient.
I know, exactly.
Let's do that.
So
All right.
I will read the resolution. Whereas Michael DeSanctis has met the civil service requirements for building inspector, now therefore be it resolved that Michael DeSanctis is hereby permanently appointed to serve as the building inspector with a probationary period of 26 weeks. So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, we will close the special meeting and open up the work session. We're going to try and see how far we get before 12:30. Well, probably 12:15 because it's not on the agenda, but I would like to have a brief executive session after the work session to go over a contract and personnel item. Employment history for a couple of employees. So that's today's plan. Okay, so chapter 8.
Before we start chapter 8, I'd like to refer to page 106. Water resources, goals, and recommendations. Why don't, in this area, why don't we refer to the 2014 study? Nelson Pope Voorhees, sub-watershed plan. Why don't we use that as a replacement?
It is
for
already-
that?
My rewrite?
It's already referenced. Are you talking about in the goal 7.1 itself? Because in the, what's going to become B, revise relevant aspects. Oh, you're saying instead of,
The ground and surface water management plan, yes.
Yeah, in Ben's
My rewrite.
rewrite, he did that.
Yeah, I took out the ground surface water management plan and I put in the
The
2014
right,
study.
yes,
Oh, you did?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
all right,
Yeah.
that's all.
yes. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the watershed management plan is essentially the aquifer study that you're asking for, Albert. It's the, hydrogeological study of the island. But it doesn't have any of the more recent information that came out of the county starting in 2015 with regards to nitrogen and ice systems and all of that. So we can use it, but it's has some significant deficits in it.
Okay, so chapter 8. Under summary of key findings, the first one, planning is needed to ensure that parks and open space are appropriately maintained and they're utilized effectively. We refer to, this is page 118. We refer to the Community Preservation Fund has been used to preserve lands, but we don't make any mention about the Shelter Island Nature Preserve properties that are under the stewardship of the CAC. And you had recently recirculated that group. So I feel like we should factor in something there.
You're talking about the first section?
Yes,
First
yes,
paragraph.
yes. Because they are under, two different things. So I think we want to make sure we capture those properties. So I will
Makes sense.
task myself with doing the rewrite on that to include those.
I don't know if we need to delineate. I know in one area we saw town properties, town-owned lands, CPF purchase, but there's also town and county properties that are part of it as well.
Right.
Okay, I'll add that into this section then.
I think they're included in the map on
They are.
122, but I don't know that they're included as extensively in the text itself.
Yeah, I think by reference,
Right.
because it is in the, is that figure 12?
Yeah.
So they are picked up there, but I think just mentioning,
Yeah, we can do a paragraph about them or somehow incorporating it in.
yes. Just-
Oh, are you done?
Yes, I'm done.
Are we okay? I just want to ask, are we okay with the second paragraph? Only because Neshomic is not preserved, it's not protected, but it is kind of preserved in their operation. Are we just okay with the language here?
It's also part of the town's parks
Right.
program, so it is preserved in that sense, that they'd have to come to us for permission to change anything and use the land.
Okay, I'm okay with that. I just didn't want to lead people down. Like, if Nature Conservancy dissolved tomorrow, it can be sold.
But in order to change its
It's use.
use, they'd have to come to us.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
Here's the other side that I have heard that Mashamik is not protected.
It's not protected, but it's
It's not
preserved.
It's what?
It's kind of preserved, but it's not protected.
It's not protected, no.
That's why I'm just asking for okay with the language here.
Yeah.
Not sure I go as far as saying we should change something.
I'm next on page 120, unless somebody has something before that.
What's that?
I'm on page 120 with my next comment, unless somebody has something before that. Underneath the two pictures where we get into the revenues coming into CPF, I had Shelby look up and was going to add 2023. So it was 2.86 million in 22 and 2.38 million in 2023. So I just figured we had one more year of information that we could update.
Sounds good.
And again, under those two pictures, we actually do say protection of the Mashonack Preserve. Maybe operation, I mean, they own it, they operate it as preserved land.
So maybe make a note, refine based upon exact nature of
Yeah,
the, of
operation of the Mashonack Preserve along, yeah,
Well,
we can
it's-
figure out language. But protection is the one word. Another word would be good.
The protection of the Mashonack Preserve, along with the conservation of other parcels such as the Community Preservation Fund purchases, has helped to counterbalance Shelter Island's residential growth and preserve more than a third of the island. So Mashonack is protected in the sense that it's part of the town parks program and it's in the CAC's, it should be part of their list of town parks. And if it's not, it should be incorporated into that list, because it was adopted into the parks in 98, I think, or when was it?
it is not on that list.
Yeah, it should be.
Like I said protection is the wrong word. Because if it is sold and they wanted to change use, it is zoned single family, 1 acre. And if there was a big lawsuit, you'd probably lose it. So it's just the wrong word, that's all.
You could list it, but I don't know if it should be listed as a counterbalance. Because it's not necessarily a forever preserve, I think.
I've just made a note that we'll refine the wording based upon the exact nature of its preservation. And we'll talk to Steve and you and I can. follow up.
Great.
The resolution. If my computer will work.
My next comment was when going through and looking at figure 12, which is note, like, it's referenced on page 120, but the figure itself is a full page on 122. I want to move it to page 121.
Oh, this one, the map?
Yes, yeah, because I kept doing this while I was reading it, like
Yeah.
flip, flip, flip,
Yeah.
flip. So since it does have things in where it's like, oh, what's in dark green, what's in beige, what's in light
Yeah.
green, it'd be nice to have them facing.
I mean, I didn't break out a magnifying glass, but is this correct? Have we looked at it? Somebody looked at it?
The
Okay.
Dodson
Yeah.
Flinker, and the original
Okay.
consultants who started working with this, they were the ones who pulled this together based upon information.
Yeah.
While we're on this figure, I wondered, it seemed like there was inconsistency in the labeling of the ownership. Like, if you look at the third column, starting with number 31, Westmoreland Farm, it's owner, manager is town and county, Willow Pond Park is town, then further down, Funwickus Airfield is town CPF. And then if you look at this middle column, most of them don't have any reference to ownership. So I just wondered whether or not, and I don't know if you remember at the time, Meg, like,
No, we've had issues with that chart because it's gone through a couple different hands
Mhm.
and, so it didn't always get consistently.
and then like 30, it doesn't have a location, it just says PLT/town.
Yeah, that one.
Well, this 30, yeah.
I think that was one where they had a typo and I gave them a correction and instead they deleted it.
Oh, yeah, it's up
It's
in Ram
in
Island.
Ram Island.
Yeah. Right, so that needs a name, and then we just have to figure out if we can consistently label who the owners, managers of the various open spaces are. But I'll go over it with Coco and task her with helping us get that fixed up. She was not able to be here this morning. My next comment was on page 121. The very last paragraph, the library has offered some recreational programming as well over the years, with Tai Chi classes, as well as occasional meditation classes and hobby clubs for knitters and mahjong enthusiasts. It just sort of seemed like some random choices, and maybe we could just summarize what the offerings are more broadly.
Okay.
You offer a lot of programs, yeah.
Yeah,
And it's
Yeah.
very,
Tai Chi and, mahjong, it just sort of like, I don't know.
That's a good comment. I mean, you want to emphasize how important it is to the community, so.
Yeah, so maybe I'll talk to them and see if we can get something better. My next comments were over on page 125.
It's
Yeah, do you have
notes on
any- yeah, I was gonna say-
24 here.
Yeah, if you have anything before.
Oh, okay. So my question in that note was, Playing couples. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, okay.
Hall of Fame, which was kind of weird in the open space. On page 121.
Oh,
I think we could probably switch that up for a different picture.
oh, yeah.
Will you make?
Page 121, the bottom picture, the Hall of Fame, it's kind of odd in the open space.
Okay, good.
Just,
We slipped that in there.
you can blame it on Jim.
Let me see who the picture, maybe one of the people in the picture slipped it in there.
You took the picture.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, it's attributed to him.
One twenty-five, you have anything?
Yeah, I just was hoping we could get a crisper map.
Right above that, at the end, design standards control the length, width, and depth of dock.
Heights of dock, and the
Yeah, docks don't really have.
dock height, yeah.
It's the depth of water at the end of the dock. But
I'm not sure. Well, design standards. I mean, try to get it to 4 feet of water.
The height of the dock and then the depth of water, that's
Yeah.
a separate delineation, really.
It just didn't make sense to me when I read it.
yeah. Is that what we're going?
Yeah, they definitely regulate the height of it.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah, better map. That map, I couldn't read.
Mhm.
I don't think anybody could read that map.
No.
Oh, the moorings?
Yeah,
I mean, it really just kind of gives you an idea of where they are.
Hmm,
It's not a great map.
Yeah,
yeah, maybe it just needs to be a little bit bigger, I don't know, just even crisper.
Yeah.
But that seems to be a problem with a lot of our maps in here.
mhm. Well, it has important information like town landings, for instance.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I can't read that. One twenty-six, they say CPF, I don't know if we wanna spell that out. In that first
Yeah.
paragraph,
The Peconic Bay CPF program,
yeah,
Community Preservation Fund, yeah.
yeah. Second paragraph, continue to manage town-owned open space, nature reserves through a land. So a lot of the land that we've acquired, we acquired in partnership with the county.
Mm-hmm.
So it's town and county owned, and even the state participated. I don't know. Is this clear enough?
I mean, it's anything that the town has ownership or partial ownership of. I mean, we're supposed to have stewardship plans, even with the county lands and the state lands, we're in charge of maintaining them.
Yes, that's true. That's why they participated. So
Right.
we'll give you money as long as.
Right, as long as we don't have to
You take care of it, yeah.
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 Oh,
I don't know, town owned or partial. I don't know, owned in part.
yeah, and is the vision for the stewardship program to also try to engage privately owned preserved land? For instance, there have been acquisitions by the county that the town didn't participate in.
Well, no, because then that would be the county's
Mhm.
responsibility, because then we'd be trespassing.
Well, I mean, the stewardship program, should we try to make a deal? Is the vision for the stewardship program just town-owned, stuff that the town's involved in? Or do you want to try to also help other parcels?
First, I think we need to handle our own parcels before we try to take on other people's, because there are some parcels that I don't think get enough attention.
Mhm.
So I think part of the goal was to kind of maintain our own home before we move into other people's.
Yeah. Um,
I fixed the language, so managing town-owned and co-owned land.
Sounds good to me.
Town-owned.
Co-owned
In the
land.
paragraph.
On page
Oh, okay.
126.
With the county, yeah.
Mhm.
On the bottom of that second paragraph in B, Community Preservation Fund Advisory Board.
Oh, yeah.
First bullet, review property stewardship management plans every 2 years. Shouldn't there just be a period? Attention, there's some other language added. I'm just not sure the rest of the language helps. Review it every 2 years and figure out what you're reviewing.
Mhm.
Is this a critical comment?
Yeah. I was thinking more in terms of that we're focusing on, again, on the CPF owned, CPF acquired properties, but we're not addressing the nature preserve ones, the CAC, so that should get built in here somehow as well.
Yeah, okay, that's true. But maybe a period after 2
Well, I
years.
guess it's like the town CAC and the Community Preservation Fund, because the CAC is the one in charge of the town preserved lands,
Mm-hmm.
the nature preserve. And then the the CPF is in charge of their properties,
Okay,
but the
So
town highway
to-
department,
yeah, to ensure successful stewardship and maintenance of the town,
nature preserve
yes. the
and
town.
Community Preservation Fund. Well, no, that doesn't make sense. It says maintenance. The town CAC and Community Preservation Fund Advisory Board shall, because the CAC has to review
Mhm.
their property list.
Mhm.
So we'll spell that out, community.
We're also missing acquired properties.
Well, that was the third bullet point is open additional, just acquire additional preserves for the public.
Well, no, before we get to the bullets, to ensure successful stewardship and maintenance of the town and community preservation fund committee.
That's fine.
It's like, no, but we have to say the acquired
Acquire,
acquired lands. Otherwise,
yeah.
we're doing stewardship and maintenance of the committees themselves.
Yeah.
Maybe they need that too.
Of acquired land. Oh, yeah, I mean, sometimes. Yeah, so we'll
Yeah.
rewrite that.
And along with that is the third bullet.
Well, the third bullet, so here's the deal with that one. Open additional preserves to the public as time and resources allow. The CPF has only been opening, like, they've been slowly rolling out properties for the public, like fixing up the trails and doing, implementing their stewardship plan. So there are some properties that have been acquired that aren't like fully
Mhm.
ready for the public
Mhm.
yet. So that's to continue kind of that rollout of public accessibility.
So just add an and or acquire. Open and or acquire. Preserves for the public.
Well, the acquire is A, goal 8.1A, continue to purchase open space parcels.
Right,
This is managing what we've already acquired.
Right.
So.
right. So that's covered in
change.
one.
Yeah.
Okay. These are, the time we spent on it is more than it deserves.
So town open space and nature preserves is a different bullet. So bullet number 4 is specifically town open space nature preserves. Whereas the other one is CPF.
Oh, okay. Oh, but still the lead in paragraph,
Yeah,
incorporating both is good.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it does specifically point those out.
Mhm.
Um, 127, this swimming pool thing, what's been the discussion around that?
Just trying to find a location for it.
And there's been a designated need? Or,
There has been a lot of local groups about it. People want it. People want a swimming pool.
Yeah, there was a group, I thought they came in this year, but maybe it was.
I think it was last year.
That, they were ready to rally if we can find a place to put it, they will do some fundraising, and they've got some donors lined up that they think might be able to help.
I believe they've started a 501c3
Okay.
to raise money for
Yeah.
it. So it's something that there is definitely a group of the population that would really like it.
Mhm.
Okay.
This section, I'm wondering whether or not it's like 82A. There's been talk of trying to do something with an open space property that's more accessible to seniors. So do we want to put something in here? We're
Yeah.
saying more bicycle and walking, jogging trails, but maybe include.
Yeah, I think that they were looking at the Westminster Preserve. for that.
Yes. Yeah. To include ADA compliant or,
Maybe accessible trails.
yeah, accessible. Why do I have an X next to this paragraph? But I see where it is. It's just an and that needs to go.
Which paragraph?
It's the last paragraph in A2C on page 128. There's just an extra. The town covering topics such as stress management, obesity, smoking cessation, get rid of and, depression awareness, and substance abuse.
Healthy. Campaign. These are good things. It's any of this in the budget?
What are we talking about?
Promote health and wellness.
No,
Okay. So hopefully in the future.
There's been some talk about establishing a more formal health and wellness committee. It's sort of an ad hoc, not formal.
These aren't bad things. So.
Yeah.
8.3. I mean, we've talked about this before. I think the general feeling is that no one really wants to see a waterfront redevelopment plan that promotes development of the waterfront. And we talked about using a program like this to better understand how we can protect
Yeah.
the environment of the waterfront.
Yes, and I am trying to get a date settled for somebody from the state to come in and
Come talk to
talk.
us.
And the operative word is not redevelopment, it's
Mhm.
revitalization.
Revitalization.
Yeah, I mean, I think people always say redevelopment.
Most people
and
think
I've
those
made
are the
that
same
mistake.
Right,
things.
yeah. But yes, yes.
So, I mean, I'm happy to try to take a stab at this. I just would like to see this sort of rewritten to emphasize the fact that we would like to consider doing this to protect the environment of the shoreline. Kind of.
But it's gonna look at the entire island, and there are areas of the island that are gonna have different needs. So it would be very, very specific to each area. So like, for example, Bridge Street, you have significant amounts of flooding on Bridge Street. Every time that floods, that has a negative impact on the environment. So
Sure.
it'll look at all of these different aspects of it. It's a very in-depth, complicated, long process. So the scoping of it will take quite a while. It's a minimum of 3-year process to develop an LWRP with significant public input and input from the county and the state. And it's a big process. So all of that would be considered in the development of it.
The,
Language is important.
Kathy.
And you really don't want people to think that we're doing this to build a
development,
second block of Bridge Street.
No, of course not.
Mhm.
So I think somehow we have to craft the language to kind of be clear about that, or at least more clear about that, that this is really to look at what we have, figure out how to protect what we have and the environment and the shoreline. Sure, scoping is a thing that takes some time, but you also need to have a goal before you start to scope. I think the goal should be not to do this study to build a Mitchell Marina on Shelter Island.
I can't imagine that would be,
Yeah, that,
like,
I don't think that would
no.
get any
Maybe it's-
approval by anybody.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, so if that's the thing, why don't we just say,
well, what I'm looking at here is like, let's reword this because it does say guide the sustainable development. And so that's not our focus. It would be sustainable preservation, conservation, and enhancement of waterfront areas.
Well, but sustainable development would also relate to, like, for example, the large home moratorium, like
Mhm.
restricting development in the near shore.
Mm.
So that's all about sustainability, is determining what's the most appropriate buildings in that area, or what are the most appropriate kind of restrictions and requirements in the near shore area. So sustainability has many aspects of, it's not necessarily promoting growth or development. It could also be modifying what we have to make it more environmentally friendly.
yeah, and we can say those things because using a term like sustainable development means that you want to actually extend the development and just do it in a different, better way. And I'm not sure
I don't
that's.
know that that's true. I think people are
Opens the
taking the
door.
word development and assuming it's a dirty word. People are going to build on their properties, whether, no matter what. It doesn't mean,
I have a thought. We will be having somebody from the state come in.
yeah.
Why don't we let them do their presentation and based upon what they present and explain, and provide for us, we can reword this paragraph.
Okay.
Governor Hochul signed into law last year a nature-based shoreline protection measures program. You know, I want to review that further in conjunction with this. You know, like Ben said, environmental protections are tantamount, really.
Mhm.
So after you do that, you'll come back with any suggested additions.
And then we'll also listen to the state rep
Mhm.
on this program and we'll recraft this.
So what was the name of that legislation, Albert?
It's nature-based shoreline protection measures.
Yeah, and the Peconic Estuary Partnership has a whole bunch of information about this too.
I mean, I'd like to see that. Look further at that, because I mean, the LWRP is county, state, and federal, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
three. It's
Yeah.
a long process and
Mhm.
a lot to get through.
Next paragraph.
Mhm.
I didn't try to, a couple of issues, but increasing island population, haven't we been talking about how our population has been maybe going down a little bit?
Where are you?
B, 83B. Also,
Okay.
for the high number of boats.
So the island population has been increasing.
Mhm.
It's the school population that's been decreasing.
Yeah. Significant number of boats being purchased. I'm not sure I'm seeing a huge increase in pressure on moorings, at least in Deering Harbor.
It's because they're full. There's a
No,
wait list. Deering Harbor's had a wait list for years, I think. Haven't
no,
In Deering Harbor, yeah, there's
they?
a
Yeah,
wait
it's got a
list.
wait list for ever.
there's some empty moorings at the Aqua.
That's the
We
yacht
use them for
clubs. Those are the
trips.
yacht clubs
Yeah,
moorings.
yeah.
That's different.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They're spoken.
Right. It's not like
Okay.
the Deering Harbor for the general public. That's had a wait list.
Well, people can join the club and then they'll have access to a mooring.
They could. It's an option.
Yes.
I'll have another look at this, but maybe it's fine the way it is, maybe not. Local plan for moorings, because here we say it's full, we don't, everything's, but then we said we don't want any more moorings later in this chapter.
The goal is to kind of organize what we have, I think, is what a thought process was there.
But where do you see the conflict?
It's later, I guess in the goal, it came up in the goals.
Yeah, because I mean, we do
Not
have
to have any more
limiting,
moorings.
we do have limiting additional mooring
Right.
fields if our existing ones reach build out.
And then here we're saying we've reached build out
Where?
in this B.
I don't believe we are. We're saying that.
Yeah, because somewhere later in this, I'm going to flag it. Talk about we've spoken to Bayman, and Bayman don't want any more moorings, so. Let me find it.
Yeah, it doesn't say anything about no more moorings. It's just about how to manage the fields and what would be the possible options. limiting boat size on moorings.
Well, she groups
And not
smaller boats with
allowing-
smaller boats and bigger boats with bigger
Yeah,
boats.
not allowing new mooring fields, maintaining the ones we have and making them more efficient. And then if mooring field capacity is reached, consider limiting the residency to 1 or 2 moorings instead of 3, because right now, people are
Three
like,
moorings?
yeah,
I'm not sure that actually happens in practice, because I wanted a second mooring and town clerk said no.
That doesn't sound right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that happened.
but if you have multiple properties, you can get multiple. Yeah.
I said, what, sorry?
3 boats. Oh,
You need to have 3 boats now to have 2 moorings.
How about 2 boats for 2 moorings? Yeah, I wanted a second mooring, I have 2 boats.
Well, where'd you want it? Maybe there wasn't availability in that space. If you wanted it in Deering Harbor outside of the yacht club, there probably was a waiting list, so you wouldn't have gotten it. You would have been put on the wait list.
Oh, no, for my first mooring in Darien Harbor, I was on the wait list for 6 years,
Right.
and I got it. And I said, oh, I want another one, let me go back on the wait list, and they were like, no.
Well, it's probably because they would rather you go into a different area. I don't know.
I would revisit that with Amber.
Yeah.
It was actually Dorothy. She was like, you got that one, you're lucky. So the work should be done in conservation with Bayman, agriculture, marinas, and the public. I mean, if you're gonna rejigger the existing mooring fields, especially in Deering Harbor, and in, well, it says marinas, and in Cockles Harbor. I mean, you'd be hard pressed to do it in Deering Harbor without talking to the yacht club. It says here, marina, so you got Cockles Harbor and Marina covered.
Mm-hmm.
Where you been? Limiting additional mooring fields?
Yeah, still in 8.3B.
What is,
Right in the middle.
what is the first sentence there? What is conflict of use reasons? What does that mean?
Where are you?
I don't,
First sentence where?
first sentence to the last, the end.
At the end? First sentence at the end.
What, B? 8.3B?
Conflict of use reasons under limiting additional mooring fields.
Oh,
Oh.
What does that mean?
Oh, conflict of use is if it impedes navigational channels or other recreational uses of that area or habitats, things like that. So it says, if our existing mooring field should reach build out, Shelter Island should not open additional mooring fields for environmental, aesthetic, and conflict of use reasons. So they're saying that it would just take up too much of the waterways to just have mooring fields. It would impede people's ability to use the waters.
Let's just put that in. Let's enumerate it.
Or just, yeah, give a couple of examples. You know, such as Bayman being able to,
Conflict of use is kind of, be specific.
back to 8.3B, in this sentence in the middle. I don't know how to add in. Marinas is a general word that covers Cockles Harbor Marina. You want to say yacht clubs? There's more than one yacht club on this island, by the way.
3B sentence in the middle.
Yes,
Let's figure out where you're starting from.
this work should be done in consultation with Bayman, agriculturists, marinas, and the public. You could say yacht clubs.
Are you on
Well,
page
no, because there's
128?
some that are, there are also just marinas that aren't yacht clubs, like you have the Island Boat Yard,
Well, that's
You've
covered in
got
marinas.
Clark's. So why do yacht clubs have to be separated from marinas? Aren't they kind of similar?
No, not really. And there are other marinas. I mean, there are other yacht clubs on this island. There's Monastic. There are a couple other ones. And
Okay.
changing the mooring fields will affect how they access
All
the
right,
water.
marinas, yacht clubs, and the public.
Yep.
I always thought they were kind of the same thing. That's just me not knowing boating, so my bad.
I know something about it. It's high demand, yeah, sure, whatever.
The last sentence in that, if mooring field capacity is reached, how do we know that?
There's no more room to put in
But we
moorings.
just, I mean,
The very,
End of limiting additional mooring
Oh, okay.
fields. Last sentence.
so
do we know what that is? I mean, is it defined somewhere?
it's,
So we know when we're getting close or at it?
so the beginning of B, the first bullet, consider grid fields, also talks about determining what build out would be. And then, so they kind of go in order. So then limiting mooring fields, you know, if they reach that capacity or build out, or even if the WMAC determines that that field can't fit any more boats without encroaching into the navigable channels or, you know, impeding the ability of people to use the waters, and they can say it's full. So, you know, it's whatever the WMAC kind of considers to be full capacity.
I guess I'm just, I don't know. I'm thinking, you know, if we're in a point where we're looking to accommodate and we don't beyond what we should,
What do you mean?
accommodate more moorings beyond what we really should have. We don't really have a defined point.
Because we haven't established one, so the first part of the recommendation is that the WMAC establish a capacity for each of the existing mooring areas and say we can't fit more than X amount of moorings in this area. So we're asking them to
Do that.
do
Okay.
that
All
first.
right.
And then if we find that all of a sudden we're reaching that capacity, that's it. We shouldn't be opening more mooring fields.
Right.
It should stay.
That's all.
Yeah.
There's a stake mooring.
Stake
Pulley?
mooring pulley,
Yeah. First of all, we should not have those.
but we do.
There are
Yeah.
existing ones, though.
Yeah. Conic Estuary Program. Conic Estuary Partnership.
What about it?
Name, it's wrong.
Oh, you're at the end of the, okay.
Yeah.
Kind of guess you're.
You're given very few contextual clues here.
Yeah. And right after that, mooring gear, it's called tackle. Technically. Other substantive comments.
That one, I thought some of there was mixed data on whether the conservation moorings are effective.
Under stake or?
Under mooring tackle.
Yeah, under mooring, the new mooring tackle. Yeah, I mean, I guess it should just be looked at. I thought it already had been.
Yeah, well, it's just, I guess, revisited. I think that the
maybe
technology's
it's-
improved.
I was gonna say, yeah, I mean, unless there's been advances.
I know PEP had some new information about them. Although some of our best field grass is in Cockles Harbor, where we have old school tackle, so.
Yeah. Oh, once you get it in, if it's permanent, what you don't want people to do is anchor. That's what you want to
Yeah.
stop.
Mhm.
So if you provide like a town mooring, and the only thing that's changed is they add a winter stake and take top into the tackle off. I mean, you know, we haven't had a lot of cold winters lately, so. But you never know. I mean, that anchorage in Cockles Harbor near Taylor's Island, and I mean, that would be a perfect place not to have people anchor. To have town moorings set up and permanent. That would cause less destruction to the seabed. And drive a little revenue to the town.
Well, it would also have an expense for us to do that, because we have to maintain and
The
monitor.
harbor
We have
master
to.
would have.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's expense.
Oh, no question. Have a mooring in Daring Harbor.
Mhm.
Only one though, even though I wanted to.
Rolling Stones did it best.
The town transient anchorages,
Page,
did we,
129, I'm assuming.
okay, sorry.
Did we talk to the Bay Constables about this and their needs, what they thought? Them, because they deal with it on a in-your-face, first time, real-time basis. I mean, what their concerns or what their issues are. I mean, we really, and then incorporate that into it,
Yeah, they did have some input.
did they?
Yeah. You know, they were the ones who came up with the different things that we need to think about when considering a more permanent, like doing town mooring fields. Like, these are all the things that you need to consider and look at. It has to be
Okay, they did
a
give
thought out
input, okay,
program.
okay.
You know, it's a lot.
And it's something else that has to be managed.
Right.
Goal 8.4,
Sure.
in light of the dredging project going on currently, I just want to have Joe update.
840.
Yeah. Because it's like West Neck Harbor, dredged in these years, likely again in 2023, but it's like, we can just
Yeah.
add 2024. We'll ask him to.
Yeah.
And mention how it's funded, since we seem to always get grants for this.
It's done through the county.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah, or
even,
the
It's
county
not even
companies
us, it's the
done it.
county. We
Mhm.
coordinate with the county and they,
yeah.
I think it's important to say
Keep
that,
our water
because since we don't think it's another expense.
Well, technically, it is an expense. We just pay it through our county taxes instead of our town taxes. There's no such thing as free money.
Yeah.
I think it's made pretty clear that the county is the one.
Okay, if you feel it's fine, it's like it's far from substantive.
No, I mean, like, if you have a place where we can incorporate it, but I'm not sure.
I think it's the paragraph, 1, 2, third paragraph down.
Third, town should?
Yeah, the town should investigate the economics and risk profile of entering a cooperative agreement with neighboring towns to share the costs and management of local dredging, because the county dredges for the sole purpose of keeping navigational channels open. And maybe a list of county-funded revolving dredge projects include.
Yeah, that would do it.
Yeah. Okay, found it.
Good. Thank you.
The first paragraph,
Mhm.
last sentence. The Waterways Management Council and the WAC are monitoring the health of various bodies of water. Are they? Where,
Well,
are they reporting on that?
You're the liaison to both.
What?
You're the liaison to both.
I mean,
I mean,
well, the question, does it belong in the dredge? in the
I feel
dredge?
like I
is there a,
those meetings, but I do feel like we've talked about that website, something
Yeah,
Blue Water website that
Yeah,
was giving us information on nitrate levels in the various bays. I think it's Blue Water. So,
Maybe the
feel
question
like-
is, does it belong in this section? This is a dredging section, and you don't dredge for, well, you dredge to open up the navigable water, so I don't know if you dredge.
but you
for-
also dredge to flush a water body,
Yeah,
to
we do for
improve
flushing.
water circulation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but if they're not reporting on it enough, maybe we should retask them with.
yeah, I don't know, or should it be posted somewhere that the public has access to it, or I don't know.
Mhm. Yeah,
It's on the website.
I was gonna say, I
thought.
thought at one point it was, Blue Water was definitely put on the website.
It is.
Mhm.
He's trying, is it the,
Blue Water Task Force testing results,
is that on WMAC or
It's on-
WAC?
WMAC. And so that keeps track of the waterways. So they come out and test every week for bacteria. In like they do it in the
Mhm.
Shell Beach, West
Mhm.
Creek, and they do it in Cockles Harbor. It's a Blue Water Task Force.
So the question is, in this paragraph that you're referencing then, Albert, is it just the WMAC who's monitoring the health, or is WAC?
WAC does through the GIS, through the different, so they're doing it more for oxygen saturation, temperature, nitrogen, all those things, and they do it through GIS. So they
Mhm.
have a different monitoring system than the WMAC.
Okay. So they both are monitoring?
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I don't go to all of their committee meetings.
You're not the liaison.
I'm not.
I don't know, fourth bullet, do you think we need to change it? I mean, that dredging is happening right now.
Yes, that was my comment. We had Joe review an update for the current dredging projects.
Perfect.
Well, yeah, they're doing that one, and then there's. What it is if we could, it's very complicated, but wanting to go deeper into Banana Creek past the choke point.
Yeah.
So the problem is the sludge at the bottom.
Mhm.
We can't dispose of it anywhere.
So we have to pay to have it taken somewhere else.
Pennsylvania, I believe, is the closest place that would take it,
Okay.
and it's a lot.
It's a long way to,
Wet, and it's a mess, and it stinks, and.
it's a long way to float a barge. It
Yeah,
costs a fortune.
yes, yeah. So improving the flushing of Nana Creek is the best option.
So we're
So we
gonna
can
put,
take that.
rather than what's written here, we're gonna put that it's actually being dredged
We can just take it out.
this year,
because,
yeah. Just enlist it because it's kind of moving forward. It's nice to have a list of where they have dredged and
Right.
maintain it.
County's gonna go so far up the creek and then they're gonna stop.
Yeah.
What we're trying to address here is past that point. What do you do past that point? And it's basically too expensive for us to do anything past that point. So take it out.
What we'll do is where it says, the bullet above that one, where it says Manana Creek, we can say dredged in 2024,
Mhm.
because that's,
Yeah,
the rest of that's all done.
let's call that out loud and clear. Hopefully they get to Torquettle
They're
ending.
hopefully gonna go a
hopefully.
little further, like
If they
go to
can.
freezes if they can. It depends on the
Yeah.
quality of the
Yeah,
bottom.
the sediment.
Yeah.
I'm worth through the efforts of Jim Collins.
Where are you?
Real point.
Oh, yeah, protect Real Point, Shell Beach.
Oh.
I mean, great work by Jim, but will this comment age well?
No, it's not gonna age.
No.
Yeah, I would think that we take out that section. Kudos to Jim, because he was,
Oh, no, great work by Jim,
Mhm.
absolutely.
the town board has
Has.
been, or continues to, actually. Yeah, I think continues to, because Joe reaches out periodically, so it will survive board turnover.
Protect Real Point. I mean, basically, what are they doing? Or should we, is it too far in the weeds to talk about how they're gonna protect this?
Well, just briefly, we did a study, I'm drawing a blank on the consulting firm that we hired to do it. We did a study that gave us a host of options. Yeah, options, I'm like, starts with an O. Like, yeah, opportunities, options, which was do nothing to a multi-million-dollar fix. And the decision was made, it was not something that we could fund ourselves. And so we started to engage with the Army Corps of Engineers. They actually came in for a meeting. And so we've been trying to get on their funding program so that they will come in, take a look of what we had done, coastal something, and then give us their recommendation with hopefully some funding assistance to actually fix the problem, similar to what we did on the causeways when we brought them in decades ago. So, at one point, we thought that we were on the list to be funded, but it doesn't seem as if that's materialized. So, and at one point, they said, well, we're not really sure it qualifies. And so Joe went back to them to say, well, like, I don't think you're considering this, and I don't think you're considering that. So trying to build it into something that the federal government would take an interest in.
Should we ask Joe to add 2 sentences to this? Kind of explaining that we're looking for grant funding from, whatever.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, we're not even to the part of trying to grant fund the fix. It's,
Right.
we're trying to get funding for the study by them. So, but
We're
yeah,
trying to
we-
get the Army Corps to partner with us.
Yes.
Seems like that would be a good mention.
Mhm. All right, we'll ask Joe to,
Just not go too far into the weeds, though.
yeah, beef this up a little.
The other thing is in this Real Point, it should say property and habitat loss. So where it says, these spits or narrow peninsulas are threatened with breaching when storms roll in, the loss of either one would lead to extensive property and habitat loss in the respective harbors they protect.
Absolutely. Uplands Harbor will look very different without Mill Point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that water would roll in.
Taylor's Island would not be happy.
Oh,
Homeowners wouldn't be happy.
boy. Opening up canal, so culvert cross, yeah, we've talked about this. I mean, the last storm opened it up on its own.
Shell Beach.
Yeah, Shell Beach. Was that Sandy?
Right.
It was Sandy, wasn't it?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I don't know that it went all the way across. It just took out most of the road. Or did it go all the way across? I don't remember it fully breaching.
I don't think it did.
Shell Beach?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was open.
It was open.
Oh, was it fully breached?
I mean, way back.
Yeah.
Nature wants it back.
No, I meant during Sandy. I didn't remember it fully breaching during
Oh,
Sandy. I
oh,
just
during
remember
Sandy, oh.
significant damage. I don't
It was
remember-
damaged, but I
It was
don't think
damaged,
it-
but I don't think it breached.
It'd be a good flush for West Neck Harbor. But that's fine. Prohibited excessive power by the works. I don't know if we should go after tubing. A lot of people do it safely.
Yeah.
Like all of our kids tubing all the time. Yeah, didn't kill any of them.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest complaint that we heard from people was the large wakes.
Yeah.
So-
Definitely does it.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know that tubing is the problem.
And it's on inside waters too.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the real big wake problem and outside waters are just the bigger.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
It's
absolutely.
absolutely horrible.
Yeah,
Inside waters, yeah. I don't know, we're
you
just.
do it in West Neck
making
Bay.
a bad guy.
Right.
I mean, tubing in West Neck Bay is, the harbor's getting kind of dangerous to tube. A lot of boat traffic in West Neck Harbor. It used to, but I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like this section it is specifically focused on West Neck.
Right. Yeah, there's so much that goes on in there.
Mm-hmm.
No, there really is. And even in the bay, back in the bay, I used to water ski in West Neck Bay. I should have admitted that.
No, we used to water ski in Banana Creek.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it was, my dad would spend his entire lunch hour water skiing Banana Creek into West Neck and back. But I think it was actually good for the creek because it turned it up so you didn't get all that sediment and silt, that organic silt on the bottom. It turned up the water and it went out with the tide. And it was always sandy when I started growing up there. And then over the years, it just got grosser and grosser. And now it's just this black silty sludge.
Yeah.
It's
not
gross.
good.
Just to call out under the limit seaplane activity, that this issue could be explored as part of the local waterfront
Right.
revitalization plan. Just,
Okay. And the heading, do we want to have that statement?
Where?
Before it used to say consider limiting seaplane activity, now it just says limit it. Is that what we want to do?
I think more people were like,
Yeah,
let's be stronger here.
yeah, that's why we changed this, because we got yelled at.
Okay.
Consider limiting wasn't strong enough, so we went with limiting.
I can't stand them, so, I mean, I'm not, I'm not, I can push that point.
To page 132.
Well, I think that the 131,
Mm-hmm.
the third bullet under seaplane activity, extension of, I think it's 1,500 foot town control at the bottom.
Yes, it is.
So that,
It's been much
That's
back
like
and forth in the
typo.
last few days. on
Yeah.
that.
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's 1,500. Because we had discussed when that proposal for a barge in state waters between Mishawmik and, what was it? Point in East
Oh,
Hampton?
Cedar Point?
Cedar Point, yeah. They wanted to put a barge for helicopters. And so we had to lobby the state to say, no, we don't want that. But Sag Harbor had extended their water jurisdiction to, I think, 2,500. There was like some weird extension in their codes where like, is that possible? Can you do that?
No, no helicopters on barges.
Right off Mishawmik too. We were like, that's insulting.
Yeah. Have to drive on the LIE just like the rest of us.
Right? I just take seaplanes now.
Mhm.
Well, we're doing this whole
Yeah, I was gonna say
Page
review
132.
policy. So I sort of feel like this review policy for establishment of new docks, when we see where the dock law goes over the next couple of months, basically.
In this, oh, sorry, in this last paragraph I'm through, can we actually do this? 1,500 feet, yeah, we control those waters, yeah,
Mhm.
so we can do that. Okay.
So the review policy for establishment of new docks, once we see what's happening with the dock code, this paragraph needs to be rewritten.
Yeah.
Yeah, or we may just take it out.
Yeah, exactly, rewrite or remove.
Didn't we ban boat lifts in inland waters?
Yeah, that's in the new boat, the
Yeah.
new dock code,
Mhm.
so. And then we don't really have control over boat paint. That's just kind of an educational portion, so this could also be something that is kind of addressed and done.
Yeah, I don't know what the issues are. I mean, if you've ever painted the bottom of a boat, you would never want to do it again.
Yeah, bottom paint, it's also, it's gotta be a bigger, broader, with state or federal.
Right,
Yeah.
right, no, it needs to come from,
Yeah. So we should kind of clarify that somehow. And we just need to rewrite this a little bit.
Oh, it does at the very end. It's recognized that enforcement of paint choice would be hard without state or federal regulations on paint.
yeah.
So. Are we tilting at windmills here?
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, it's really just like a feel good with no,
Yeah.
There's no answer.
no teeth, it doesn't even have dentures.
Mhm.
It's,
Yeah.
so we can just take that out.
So take out the second paragraph? Or just the end? What are we doing here?
I mean,
Yeah, well, it does say that WMAC should develop an educational campaign.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
So
good.
that's
so
good.
education's good.
Yeah, and maybe just leave it in.
Yeah. Doesn't hurt anything.
Mhm.
Bulkheads, yeah, we're doing all this now. We just dealt with this whole jetty and docks with stairs that. I'm trying to say here. I think this is probably fine.
We're gonna be going through a wetlands application because of like the bulkheading and the revetment. We're setting a public hearing on Monday, or later, or, yeah, for October. So we may want to come back and look at this once we've gone through a detailed, and we will also,
Because practice has been changing. I mean, when they build jetties, wooden or whatever, they make them low
Mhm.
as opposed to higher when you couldn't cross them. Because we're talking about access to public lands below the mean high water mark.
yeah, well, in our code, you have to allow the public access across a dock when you build it.
Yeah, and they have stairs. People usually just build stairs.
Yeah.
But with some of the existing jetties, that was never done. And the new ones are being built lower, so you can actually step over them, kind of.
So this came up more so with bulkheading, especially across like along Peconic, where there's now, even at low tide, there's no sandy beach to walk on, no
Mhm.
matter what you're in the water, because the bulkheads have
Right.
gotten so high. And typically, public had access to cross. So that's where this came up, that there should be stairways or some public right of way on the top of the bulkhead or beside a bulkhead where necessary, so people could pass. So I don't know what the best way is to handle that.
How's that gonna go over with the property rights people?
In the waterfront, you're supposed to have right of way.
Yeah.
Because below high tide, it's public property.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing we might want to consider in this, which isn't really listed in here, is the use of more environmentally friendly mitigations like rock revetments, plantings. There's more of like a living shoreline kind of concept instead of straight bulkheading.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
So,
Both more expensive.
yeah,
And
But-
most wooden bulkheads now are being replaced by vinyl.
right.
Mhm.
And it used to be really hard to get a more natural shoreline through the DEC permitting process because they saw so few of them. But they're making some changes internally to make it easier to get approvals on these more unique and environmentally friendly types of.
They just required one now. Can't remember which property it was.
Yeah.
But the bulkhead had sort of failed and the return was being washed out and they wanted the stones.
Yeah, they did that on Peconic.
Yeah.
We just looked at that one. And then the next one that's coming to us, the wetlands application on
Mhm.
Monday, where we're setting the hearing for October.
Yep.
That one is a combination of repairing a very broken bulkhead and then adding in rock revetments on the return so that it stops that. But it's, so they're getting
Makes sense.
more
Put in
dynamic.
fill
there.
and plantings around the rock. It just
Exactly.
to help stabilize.
Yeah.
More of a natural.
Yeah.
Yes, we should keep those edits, Meg. Just-
I'll figure out where to add it in and I'll give a rewrite.
On 133,
Mhm.
I didn't have anything on the first, like,
I did.
okay,
Are you, Amber?
on page 133.
Yeah, 133, that third bullet point kind of is,
Update on an annual basis. Yeah, I do have something on that too.
yeah, I want to, but I can take a shot at.
Are you
Look, my issue is that right now the county is doing horrible things with agricultural leasing and issuing leases and signing leases
Leasing
That's
time.
not,
in
okay.
the middle of very busy navigable waters
Mhm.
and not listening to anyone who wants to complain about it. I'm not sure the town should jump on that bandwagon as well.
Yeah, we've had very few, like, there's possibly two, maybe two, aquaculture leases within Shelter Island waters. The rest of them are
One
more
Upper
south.
Beach,
Where's Upper Beach?
Bay Beach or Causeway,
Okay.
there was one
Mhm.
there, which is fine.
It's,
That's a great one, because it's not in
Causeway, right?
anybody's way.
right, yeah, it's out of the
Yeah.
way.
Yes.
That one's fine, but then, I mean, there were proposals for Mashomick Point, which is crazy busy down
Yeah,
there,
it's not a good spot.
and it's not a good spot. And
It's a major change.
Pipes Cove that has been put up as another location to have extensive agricultural leases, which is incredibly busy and really shallow.
Mhm. But that's not within Shelter Island.
No, but
Right.
it's the general theme of like the Orient Harbor is another one that they've issued leases for in the middle of very busy waters. And
Mhm.
one of the proposed locations was right in front of Orient Yacht Club, and they were able to get that changed. So,
I think the thought is that if we're leasing our town bottom, we have control over where. We get to choose location, things like that.
And
hmm,
I do remember something coming in earlier this year and flipping it over to WMAC
yeah.
to review to make sure, and the town engineer.
It's hard because, I mean, just personally, I'm totally for it, as long as it's in smart places.
Well, yeah. I
Yeah.
think anything done in dumb places is not a good idea.
Yeah, and right now they're doing it in really dumb places.
Yeah.
And then they're basically saying too bad.
Right.
So, I mean, I'll take another look at this part, maybe there's something to be changed here.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the last paragraph in this section kind of covered it,
Hmm,
like making sure that it's not unchecked and doesn't create conflicts.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there's something to be changed, but
Mhm.
I'll just have another look and I'll report back.
Mhm.
Let me talk to, we have someone at the club who is focused on this and in charge of it.
Mhm.
Let me talk to him too.
On the bullet or the section on the 2022 Shoreline Access Task Force, I thought annual was probably a little too frequent because just to pull the whole committee together to look at this, I was thinking either biannual or maybe every 5 years because Department of Public Works should be looking at those and making sure that whatever maintenance is required and like they're going to be looking at all the points annually. And I just don't feel like there's enough change.
So maybe on a 5-year basis?
Yeah.
Can you do any tracking of parking at some of the town landings?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, I mean, that was part of the whole shoreline access.
No, I know, but do we know how many people actually
Oh, yes.
use the town landings and the parking?
Chief Reed would be able to pull that information for us.
Is that, okay,
Yes.
all right.
Yeah, because we had a member of the public come in a few work sessions ago who was asking. And I believe that information was pulled subsequent to that meeting for that homeowner who was wondering about like the parking, parking permits.
I know some of them, we have all these signs of no parking with permit. I just wondered if anybody really
Yeah, I mean,
parks. I don't really,
yeah, Chief Reed is on. I don't know if he's available to just chime in for a second on this. Or if he's stepped away from.
Oh, Christina's got the mics muted. Can you unmute, Chief? Thank you.
Yes, yeah, thank you for, yes, Councilman Dixon, we absolutely monitor that. And we can get you some statistical information if you want that. I had provided the board with the number of parking spots we allow at each location, probably a couple weeks ago when that citizen came on and was asking about Manhattan Lane. But I can further look at how many people park annually at each location, if you'd like that data.
yeah, I'm just curious, Jim. I mean, frankly, I was upset that during COVID that we implemented the parking permits at some of the town landings. I always thought that that was something that separated us from other areas, other towns and whatnot. So I was just wondering how many people really pay the price to park at town landings now. Those areas that we implemented that.
Yep. So right now, I would tell you that obviously Wade's Beach is very popular and we allow the most spots there. But Real Point has a few spots and so does Bootleggers Alley, and they do frequent those spots and pay. Nothing like during the COVID era. So
Right.
it has diminished since then. But why don't I run the data? We're pretty much closed out the year for paid parking as of September 15th. And I'll get that to the board so you have a feel for it.
Thanks, Jim. I appreciate that.
Permitting process.
On page 134, if we're gonna make the change to a 5-year basis, then the town landing list be updated and maintained on at least a 5-year.
Could you just jump back 1 second? 133, identify habitat restoration measures. As the mooring permitting process and management is gradually taken over by the harbor master, WMAC will have an increased ability to take on vital topics. Okay. As it gradually, as the harbor master takes over, but MAC still has to grant location. I'm not sure how harbor master taking over is gonna fit with what that WMAC is supposed to be doing.
The WMAC won't be doing moorings, the harbor master will. It'll be done through, or at least that was how it was supposed to be rolling out. It was gonna be the harbor master and the town clerk doing the moorings.
But locating them, I mean, you need
Yes,
some local knowledge on, well, harbor
New
master.
harbor master.
Yeah, and new moorings, I think, continue to be looked at by them, but renewals and modifications.
Oh, right, that's
That's
fine.
all going through that.
Okay, so new
Online
moorings, the WMAC will still be involved in.
But the harbor master will make the recommendation because they're the ones out on the water.
Okay.
So,
Bo comes into the WMAC meetings, he gives a
Yes.
report, but as
Right.
long as they're still involved, the committee, okay.
yes, and it still comes to the town board for resolution.
Right.
so.
Yeah.
Doesn't WMAC know about them?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Been going on for 2 years now?
Yes.
This slow transition?
yes.
Recommended town landings list. It- Yeah, who maintains this list, the town landing list? When's the last time it was updated? Do we know?
So 2022.
Yeah, the Shoreline Access Task Force.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
they,
that, yeah.
yeah, they went out and like identified and made sure and reviewed all of the access points to make sure that they were still accessible, still under town control. Like, so they updated everything, kind of brought it back to forefront and put it all in one place.
And then Public Works and Joe Fenora kind of keep up with it. So Joe has his list of repairs and replacements for aging infrastructure. So looking at all the bulkheads and kind of putting together a plan for when they need to get replaced. So Joe kind of keeps that, and then the Public Works goes around and makes sure the town landings are clear for the most part, and accessible. So,
Next paragraph, same comments before, Peconic Estuary. Partnership. Let's see. I haven't looked at this in a while, the speech driving permit and not riding, driving. We only allowed in the off-season, right? Not during the summer. I think.
I haven't
I haven't looked at it in
years,
ages.
yeah.
I used to have one, but that
Mhm.
was many years ago.
Anybody?
Anybody?
You,
Like,
Chief?
how does this work?
Yeah, Chief,
And why do
are
we
you
have it at all?
up to speed?
I
on
don't
that?
think it's just for the off-season, and originally I believe it was for fishermen, so that it was easier for them to bring their gear to the waterfront. But I think I don't know how many people
Yeah.
actually get permits for it
Yeah,
now.
actually.
I think it should be
Yeah.
prohibited, really. I mean,
Yeah, that's where I was.
it doesn't make sense. Yes, if you're gonna fish, you're gonna have to walk to where you wanna set up.
And I used to have a beach driving permit, and I used it to have picnics on the beach.
Right.
And that's not a good use.
Yeah.
To drive my big heavy truck onto the beach just so we can have lunch.
Yeah, if you look at 37.6 of the code, it'll give you a little bit of a feel. So it depends on time of year and it depends on time of day. So I can start to read, no person shall operate a vehicle on Shell Beach except on the unpaved portion road at any time between April 1st and September 15th. No person shall operate or park a vehicle beyond the paved portion of Club Drive, commonly known as Real Point, without displaying a valid proper beach vehicle driving permit issued by the town. So there you can down there. No person shall operate or park a vehicle on Crescent Beach or Wage Beach except the paved areas or on park adjacent to Manhattan Lane for a distance of 200 feet between the hours of 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. from the Friday immediately preceding Memorial Day through Labor Day. So basically what we're saying there is that after 6 p.m. you can ride on those beaches, but between Memorial Day and Labor Day, you can't between 9 and 6. So I would agree with Councilman Dixon that it might make some sense to review these statutes. Just to make sure that I'm sorry, I didn't turn my camera on, just to make sure that we're meeting our current needs.
You know what you look like.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, in areas where natural resources are threatened, recreational riding on beaches should be prohibited. Consideration should be given to allow access for fishermen.
In other words, review the code.
Yes, exactly. Mhm. Yeah.
I mean, if you just think about the logic of somebody going down to Crescent Beach where the fire ramp is and at 6:01 and taking their car out to as far as they want to go, it doesn't make a lot of sense during the season. So,
Felt really bad.
and that's just an easy one to highlight.
It's just super destructive for what benefit? Yeah. So we should review the code to just
Mhm.
prohibit it in general.
Yeah. Is that a wrap on chapter 8?
Do the bluff.
Uh-huh.
I know we're doing this with the wetlands code, but do we really need mandatory setbacks from a bluff? South Hill requires 100 feet
Mhm.
and restricts building. You know, simply beach stair structures, things of that nature. But should we implement something like this? Should we have that?
So that's what this is saying. It's saying develop regulations to better protect bluff areas. Regulations would establish setbacks for construction at the top of a bluff so that structures are not constructed on the edge, which can cause instability and degradation of the slope. So it's proposing that we look at it and develop something.
I'm just suggesting something, that's all. I know that. I know it's suggesting it, but if we put it down
But we did.
as a goal,
Yeah, I
is that feasible?
well, I think that rather than us setting the number, that we allow the research and the science to inform
Okay.
decision-making when we're
Yeah.
working on regulation.
Yeah, this isn't supposed to set regulation. It's supposed to tell us where
To
we
do
have
something.
deficits and to look at it.
Yeah. And the only other thing that I thought about is 8.4, we have like so many subsections. I want to take a stab, like if you look for
Separating
when
them
we
out.
start with dredging and we end up with, off-road vehicles on beaches and bluffs. Perhaps like breaking down goal 8.4 into two different goals and kind of just, because in other sections, we have it more focused per goal. And so I'll look at that and see.
Big goal.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good idea.
there's a lot. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different.
Well,
like, no, I'm
Yeah,
missing
we
four.
can definitely
I skipped a
split
page, yeah.
this into things that involve the county and other towns, and then things that are island specific. So
Yeah,
that's
and
definitely-
recreation.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I'll break this apart.
recreation versus more like development, construction, the
Yeah.
bulkheads and the bluffs and the,
Mhm.
yeah, definitely. It's 12:09.
I was gonna say, it's 12:09, so I don't want to start on chapter 9, because I do need the executive section just to cover two things. So that means on Tuesday, so what I've got on the agenda so far, we have intersection review and recommendations for West Neck Road and Worthy Way. We've got the housing request for proposal, and then chapters 9 and 10, which I had wanted Tuesday to be chapter 11, so you guys know what I'm going to ask next, which is a second meeting next week, or separate, the next, that, an additional work session next week in order to, and if it's not next week, let me just actually look
I
at
don't
my
know that our
calendar.
calendar will,
Well, yeah, actually, and I've got,
there's.
Doesn't look good for me
And
anyway.
I'm also continuing meeting with department heads and committee chairs to get their initial budgets. Just,
11 is gonna take a couple of sessions.
yeah, or like a good,
Yeah. I'm trying to be optimistic.
yeah, scratch next week.
Yeah, it's the same next
Yeah,
week.
no, I'm.
The week after has
down with
potential.
Yeah, we can start.
Okay, so
It's gonna be
we'll see where we
Yeah,
land on Tuesday, and we'll figure out, bring your calendars on Tuesday so we can set an additional work session to continue to get this progressing.
Did I promise something today? I said I'm gonna look at this, but It may not
Yeah.
change.
Yeah, and then we're gonna,
Yeah, I promise.
once we get through chapter 11, then we'll go back through with Coco to be like, okay, Amber said she'd provide this, Albert said he was gonna do this, Pam said this, and you all like didn't come to a conclusion on this, so we'll be going through that with her.
So, I guess
We
we
will-
should adjourn into executive session.
Yes, please.
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.